By virtue of the powers granted by the Privy Council, the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland is this day holding a congregation for the conferment of degrees. Our ceremony begins with the conferment of an honorary degree. The authority of degree awarding powers resides with the Academic Board of the Conservatoire, which may confer an honorary degree of doctor upon any person it considers has made a truly outstanding contribution to their profession and whose achievements richly deserve high distinction and recognition. I now invite Nick Koonsberg, Chairman of the Board of Governors, to introduce the sponsor for the honorary graduand.
Principal Sharkey, I now have the greatest of pleasure in inviting Deborah Richardson-Webb, Head of Performance Pedagogy, to sponsor Bonnie Greer to the degree of Doctor of Drama.
Chairman, Governors of the Conservatoire, members of the Academic Board, graduands, lords, ladies and gentlemen, and those of you who identify in other ways from those on this list. In 1948, 2 young women fell pregnant with their first child. At the time, one was married, one was not. One was to give birth in a hospital on the south side of Chicago. One was to give birth in Buckingham Palace, London. Willie May Greer, née Randolph, gave birth to her daughter 36 hours after Princess Elizabeth, Duchess of Edinburgh, gave birth to her son. This particular 36 hours meant that Willie May did not win the contest for giving birth closest to Princess Elizabeth. It meant Willie May did not win a year's supply of much-needed nappies. Willie May's daughter was named Bonnie after the infant Prince Charles, and Willie May required her daughter Bonnie to celebrate Prince Charles's birthday every year. In this way, Bonnie formed a serendipitous early attachment to Scotland, and here, 70 years on, is Bonnie Greer, an American-British playwright, novelist, critic, broadcaster, columnist, social commentator, and activist who we are delighted to honour today. I am familiar with Bonnie, like many of you, as a viewer of current affairs programmes such as Question Time and Newsnight Review, where she has frequently appeared as a contributor and often as the only person of colour. Preparing to speak about Bonnie today, I felt a real connection to her political voice and to the social imperative of all of her arts practice, from long before we ever talked about socially engaged practice. I am honoured to be sponsoring Bonnie today, but I have had to give full consideration to intersectionality and how I, a white woman, can speak about a black woman, and here I humbly acknowledge my whiteness and the privilege it has allowed me. So how do you sum up an extraordinary life, numbering 70 years in just 5 minutes? Here I share with you, like her memoir in no particular order, the Bonnie I have discovered. Bonnie is the daughter of Ben Greer Jr., a Mississippi sharecropper who became a Chicago steelworker. Bonnie is a Londoner. She has been a Londoner longer than Boris Johnson. Bonnie came to the UK from New York in 1986 with a show to the Edinburgh Festival. She loves Edinburgh because it gave her the beginning of her artistic life in the UK. She loves Glasgow too, and has been known to say one when she means the other, but that won't be a mistake she will make after today. Bonnie has always been a writer, ever since she can remember helping her mother unpack the shopping as a child so that she could keep the paper bags to write her stories and plays on. Who in 1967 was honoured with the accolade Best Conversationalist in her high school graduating year. And Bonnie has a beautiful voice, rich and warm, and when she speaks, she goes off on tangents and follows meandering interdisciplinary thoughts, always with curiosity, always with passion. The Bonnie who says she hates dinner parties because she can't stand the chat. And who says she became a critic because she has a big mouth and opinions? I have discovered the Bonnie who remembers her childhood coming to an end and this thing called On Your Own beginning. This time was the summer of 1968, not long after the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King, during her gap year before beginning university. The Bonnie who, like Alice Walker, called herself a womanist rather than a feminist, to acknowledge the divide because of the colour of our skins. That difference creates a knowledge that white women do not experience and makes a kind of reality that we cannot achieve. I have discovered the Bonnie who was raised in a practical, hard-working household on the south side of Chicago, where if you wanted a hug, you best buy a dog. Bonnie who doesn't like the words coloured, Negro, African American, BAME, who prefers black, just plain black, who sees racism as not only stupid and unscientific, but a reduction of wonder. The Bonnie who doesn't much care for the word diversity because it empowers the idea of the opposite, autocracy. The Bonnie who believes freedom of speech is one of the cornerstones of democracy, and democracy, like civilization itself, is a fragile thing. I have discovered an angry young Bonnie serving a good Mississippi Delta grits and ground cornmeal breakfast for the Black Panthers Breakfast for Children program in 1968. The Bonnie who took direct action in 1969 at DePaul's University when she joined other members of the Black Student Union in a teach-in protest in the office of the dean. Bonnie said he was very cool about it. We came in, sat down, and told him we really needed black studies. We really needed anti-war studies. We really needed these things in the curriculum. And he listened. A Bonnie who said, if I were Prime Minister, I'd like to create a country where young people are reassured that there is a future for them within it. I have discovered the Bonnie who cried when talking about her dear dad, remembering how he valued education, encouraged her to learn, and would say, they can take everything from you but what you know. The Bonnie who learned about culture from the Encyclopedia Britannica that her father bought from a door-to-door salesman, never dreaming as she pored over the illustrations of artworks from the British Museum that one day she would be deputy director of that very museum, a place she values because it tells the story of the world to the world. The Bonnie who used a Jimmy Choo shoe as a gavel to bring order to the annual general meeting of the Bronte Society. She's wearing them today. I have discovered the Bonnie who made Camilla, the Duchess of Cornwall, laugh so hard when she told her that she'd been named after Prince Charles that Camilla needed a glass of water to recover her composure. The Bonnie who was awarded an OBE in 2010 for her contribution to the arts, but accepted it for her father. The Bonnie who has synesthesia, experiencing the world as music. The Bonnie who had a police escort on her way to the infamous Question Time with the then leader of the extreme right fascist British National Party, Nick Griffin. The Bonnie who turned saying yes to that particular Question Time into an opera at Covent Garden in collaboration with the wonderful composer Erilyn Wallen, an opera that would not feature any of the Question Time politicians because politicians always send out false notes. A Bonnie whose struggle for self-determination permeates all she does, who uses her autobiography to see patterns and to look for meaning, to see how her story is our story and how our story is hers. I have discovered the Bonnie who was director of Talloires Theatre Company, playwright in residence for Nitro, for Soho Theatre and the Black Theatre Cooperative, and has served on the boards of the Royal Opera House and the London Film School. The Bonnie who has penned award-winning plays, a short film, a documentary, novels, memoirs, a biography of the writer and social activist Langston Hughes, and more newspaper and journal articles than I can count. She is also Chancellor of Kingston University. I have discovered the Bonnie who knows that only the south side of Chicago could have sent an African American to the White House, who knows that being raised on the south side means keeping it real, not forgetting your roots, and carrying blues music in your soul. Bonnie, the immigrant, who knows two loves, love of the old country and love of the new. Britain has been her new country for almost half her life, and her love and enthusiasm for it never tires. I have discovered the Bonnie who is fierce and clever and compassionate and tireless, and who, like Jackie, one of the characters in Hotel Cerise, her daring and transgressive retelling of Chekhov's Cherry Orchard, Bonnie is full of history and full of tomorrow. I, therefore, ask the Principal to confer the degree of Doctor of Drama honoris causa upon Bonnie Greer.
Bonnie Greer, by virtue of the powers granted by the Privy Council to the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland, to confer an honorary degree of the Conservatoire upon any person it may deem worthy of such distinction, and in the name of the Academic Board, I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Drama, honoris causa. Congratulations. I now invite Dr. Bonnie Greer to address our graduates. The podium is just over there.
Oh, right. And these shoes. These are the Jimmy shoes. They told me I had 5 minutes, so being in the theater, I'm going to keep to 5 minutes. First of all, I want to say to the graduates, I don't know if any of you have ever stood and had to stand while somebody was pouring praise on you like Debbie just did, but it's not easy. Thank you so much for that. And just one correction. I heard Mama screaming from heaven. We were married when you were born, so, so that was there. May I please introduce to you my family. First of all, my husband, David Hutchins. David, would you stand? Where are you? There you are. He's my other half, and he's a lawyer, so he keeps me from being crazy. And can I introduce to you my brother, my dear brother. It's his first trip to this country and to this part of the world. He's named after our father, and he's also a wonderful poet and a wonderful person. Benny, stand up. And Benny, you got a big mouth, so introduce your partner, Robin, and...
Hello, everybody. I'd like to introduce to you Robin.
And... This is the day after the 4th of July, and they've made the trip here for this day to this part of the world for the first time and to Scotland my second home. So we're all here to say thank you very much. This country, and I hope I'm not offending anybody by saying that word in reference to Scotland, was the first place that welcomed me as a person who made theater. And so to have this honor from the faculty and from this conservatoire is deeply moving to me. I don't have any words for it, but to say thank you. And to say, in the end, I ask myself every day what I am and why I do what I do. I began writing plays at 7 years old. I'd never seen a play. I'd never been to the theater. I don't know why. And now as I'm approaching this big birthday, I'm thinking more about that 7-year-old, because I've never been 70 before, so I don't know what that's like. But I have been 7. And so I'm living with her now. And I'm asking her, why are you sitting at your mommy's table? Why did you tear open the shopping bag from her groceries? Why are you writing a play? Why are you writing this? And the 7-year-old says to me, so that I could find out who I am. And the theater and performing arts is an investigation of the self, and is that investigation translated to an audience. And the thing that you have to do all the time if you're a performing artist, wherever it is, you have to interrogate yourself. Because the biggest truth revealer of all is not you, it's the audience. And you always have to know who you are. And you have to hold on to that. You have to hold on to that and make that interrogation every second of your life. You have to know what your red lines are, and you have to know when you're lying to yourself. And I want to also say to the students that you are now alumni. The word means beloved. You're not only beloved of your family, you're beloved of this faculty, because you are taking your teachers forward. You are their beloved. And you take your practice, you take all the things you've learned, and you push it further. This is a mighty institution, and you are lucky and blessed to come through it, and they are lucky and blessed to have you. Enjoy this day, enjoy your triumph, and as we say in America, this is commencement. This is the beginning, not the end. This is the beginning. As another great American poet, Walt Whitman, said, voyagers, go forth. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, a film in celebration of the work of Dr. Bonnie Greer.
present their graduands and their awards.
Principal, in the name of the School of Drama, Dance, Production and Film, and with the authority of the Academic Board of the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland, I present to you these graduands who have been found worthy to receive the degree of Bachelor of Arts, Contemporary Performance Practice. With honours of the first class, Jordan Chisholm. Caitlin Fairley. Laura Fisher. Ian Mackenzie. With honours of the second class, Elliot Cooper. Sharon Fraser. Joel McDermott. James Primer. Samantha Alexa Sondokis. Sharnae Watson. Ricky Williamson. Hannah Wright. With the authority of the Academic Board of the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland, I present to you these graduates who have been found worthy to receive the degree of Bachelor of Arts, Modern Ballet. Zara Brent. Jamie Lee Campkin. Erin Crowley. Jake Davis. Keenan Fletcher. Lucy McPhail. Nuno Tauber. Rhys Thomas. Anna Williams. With the authority of the Academic Board of the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland, I present to you these graduates who have been found worthy to receive the degree of Bachelor of Arts, Performance in British Sign Language and English. Craig Andrew. Connor Bryson. Petra Dobre. Danielle Melvin. E.J. Raymond. Jamie Ray. Moira Ross. Kieran Stewart. Patamapon Webster. Danielle Wright.
Principal, in the name of the School of Music and with the authority of the Academic Board of the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland, I present to you these graduates who have been found worthy to receive the degree of Master of Music. In composition, Qifeng Zheng. In opera, Julia Durrami Williams. Christopher Dollins. Emma Mockett. Ravi Popov-Sankar. In performance, Lewis Banks. Patrick Burke. Alexandra Dinwiddie. Maria Donahue. Daniel Edison. Campbell Geary. Adam Hall. Claudia Houseman. Jessica Hurst. Nasira Ibrahim. Mark James. Matthew Janssen Hiraldo. Inkiri Kalio. Charlotte Kenny. Jiajun Lin. Yanjue Lin. Shutong Liu. Amber Marsh. Shannon Mercier. Alyssa Metwen. Jasmine Munns. Rebecca Murphy. Robert Newth. Killian O'Brahon. Anna Madeline Paul. Daniel Ralston. Victoria Shakadi. Tianjiao Shun. Rachel Thomas. Hannah Vigren. Ronan Whitton. Ewan Williamson. Glenn Zammit. With the authority of the Academic Board of the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland, I request that you confer the appropriate degree upon those graduands listed as in absentia in the programme.
I confer those degrees in absentia.
Principal, I present to you the winner of the Principal's Prize for All-Round Excellence in the School of Music, Lewis Banks.
It gives me pleasure to invite the Principal to confer the title of Professor.
Deborah, having been found worthy of the distinction, I confer upon you, Deborah Richardson Webb, the title of Professor of the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland. Spartum nactus est hunc exorna.
I, Deborah Richardson Webb, Professor of the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland, faithfully promise that I shall fulfil the duties and responsibilities entrusted to me here in the service of pedagogy and in contemporary performance practice to the best of my abilities.
I know you shall. Congratulations. Honored guests, graduates, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for being part of what is always a special moment for us at the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland. We are here today for a lot of reasons: to mark achievement, to reflect on the impact the last few years have had, and perhaps most important of all, to look forward and outward to life beyond these walls. May I start by offering my warmest congratulations to you, the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland's class of 2018. Congratulations. We are immensely proud of each and every one of you. We're also delighted today to celebrate the outstanding contribution of Bonnie Greer, our honorary doctor. From the west side of Chicago to the east side of Scotland in the Edinburgh International Festival, the UK had a tremendous gain when Bonnie decided to base her life and work in this country. She is a playwright, novelist, and broadcaster whose work touches upon some of the key issues of our time, from mental health to colonialism to civil rights. Through all her work, there is a warmth and humanity and a wonderful sense of humor. And Bonnie, we are honored to have you here with us today. Now back to you, the class of 2018. Over the time of your studies, you've been a part of the fabric of everyday life here, as we have been a very big part of your lives. When you depart today, you leave behind your artistic imprint on an institution that, thanks to the imagination and creativity of you and your teachers, is flying high. In fact, hot off the press this morning, we just had our employability statistics, and we are the highest ranked institution in Scotland at 99%. RCS is now internationally leading and ranked among the finest institutions in the world. We are different because we value not just disciplinary excellence as a pursuit in itself, but also the power of collaboration and the power of exploring the spaces in between the disciplines where new connections, new understanding, and new art can be made and experienced. It is our mission to loosen the bonds of definition as we blur the lines between art forms, and in doing so, challenge the norms of performance. We see the positive result of that in so many different places and so many ways across the institution. The experience that musicians create from working with dancers, or that our actors create working with composers, or the myriad collaborations that students take part in during Bridge Week and throughout the year. Just one example of all of this, of course, is the profound change which our groundbreaking BA in Performance in British Sign Language and English for D-deaf and hard-of-hearing actors has had on the whole conservatoire. And I want to acknowledge Jerry Ramage, formerly of Solar Bear, and Maggie Kinloch, both of whom were sitting in front of me, who were key creators of this initial degree. This is an historic and proud day for all of us, as today you are our first cohort to graduate from this program, which was the first of its kind in the United Kingdom. For 3 years, we have shared your journey and felt your presence in such a profound and positive way across the entire conservatoire. Our community and the work we now create have both been changed for the better because of you, and there is no doubt that as individuals and professionals, you will now go on to change the profession you are about to enter. Yes. And yes, it's true. And like everyone else, I've learned a few new things. For instance, how to say Principal Sharkey. And the equally evocative sign for Scotland. So well done to you. Our whole institution is shaped and framed in part because of where we are in Glasgow and in Scotland, a city and nation where culture is valued, shared generously, and has something for everyone. While I doubt you will miss the rain, you may miss many things about this city, not least its humor and genuine warmth in human terms, if not in degrees Celsius. And I'm certain the time you've spent here in Glasgow will form an important part of your lives forever. As our graduates, you are empowered to take everything that is essential and important about your education here and apply it with passion and confidence in whatever you choose to do next. As you go from here to be citizens of the world, it is with our love and encouragement to be the best that you can be. In thanking you and celebrating your achievements, there's a group of special people that you and I also need to thank for the part they have played in supporting you. And that's your family and friends who are here and those not able to be with us today. So graduates, just as they're celebrating your achievements, can I ask you to be upstanding and applaud your audience as a way of saying thank you for everything they've done. Thank you to our family and friends. Now I want to use this time to remind you why you came here and urge you to stay true to those values and ambitions. Wherever we turn, cynics and systems appear to challenge the value and purpose of the arts in our lives and our communities. Increasingly, public authorities in Scotland or across the UK or elsewhere in the world are truncating severely or removing entirely access to performing arts tuition from those young people who cannot afford to pay for it. In addition, fanning the flames of an increased financial, results-driven, and market-driven approach to higher education, the Institute for Fiscal Studies earlier this month declared that art students are most likely destined to be the lower earners amongst their peers, with the unspoken inference being, why bother being an art student or an artist at all? Develop this school of thought further to its logical endpoint, and you are confronted with questions such as, why does it matter anyway? Do arts feed us? What do they actually contribute to society? We all share a deep belief that the performing arts are one of the greatest inventions of humankind, a language that expresses the gamut of human experience, and a language that can be shared by all of us, regardless of our mother tongue. We share a world that, in some senses, is becoming ever more global and fast-paced, but in others is becoming divided by differing views and values. Our sharing of our art has the potential to slow that fast pace down, allow us to focus on the moment, on the phrase, on the line. Our sharing of our arts also builds bridges between us, allowing us to set aside our different backgrounds and point of view and come together around an art that is greater than any one of us alone. The world needs these bridges between peoples more than ever, and you graduates should be in the forefront of showing how there is more that unites us than divides us. I suggest to you that the value of the performing arts, both to you as practitioner and to those with whom you share them, cannot be measured in terms of pounds and pence, because they are priceless. In this centenary year of his birth, composer Leonard Bernstein is as relevant and resonant as ever in defining what this means, and I'd like to conclude by quoting him. He said, "It is the artists of the world, the feelers and the thinkers, who will ultimately save us, who can articulate, educate, defy, insist, sing, and shout the big dreams." So, as the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland's class of 2018, be true to yourself, remember why you came here, and whatever you do next, leave this place shouting those big dreams. Thank you. Congregation is now ended. Please be upstanding for our graduates.